Take control of yourself, and you take control of your life. That is the foundation of everything you want: your success, your health, your peace of mind. Most people don't lose because of others. They lose because they can't manage themselves. They get distracted too fast. They give up too early. And they keep making excuses that sound true but hold them back. This video is here to challenge that pattern, not with complicated ideas, but with practical steps you can start using today. Steps that help you build real confidence, stay disciplined, and stop wasting your time on things that don't matter. Think about it: if you just learned how to manage your thoughts, control your urges, and direct your energy, how different would your life look in a year? Stay with me, because what you are about to hear will show you exactly how to take control of yourself, starting right now. Number 1, notice your thoughts and replace them with better ones. When you begin the journey of taking control of yourself, the very first thing you must come to understand is the power of your thoughts. Every action you take begins as a thought. Every feeling you experience is triggered by what goes on in your mind. Your thoughts are the seedbed of your entire life. If you carry thoughts that drag you down, you will feel heavy and discouraged. If you carry thoughts that lift you up, you will feel strong and energized. The good news is, you are not a prisoner of your thoughts. You can notice them, you can examine them, and you can replace the ones that are hurting you with ones that will serve you. That is the starting point of real change. When you wake up in the morning, pay attention to the very first thought that enters your mind. If it is worry about work, or regret about yesterday, or fear of the future, stop for a moment and acknowledge it. Do not pretend it is not there. Do not try to fight it with force. Simply recognize it. That recognition alone puts space between you and the thought. Now, you have a choice. You can continue to follow that thought down the same old path, or you can replace it with something better. Replace it with a thought of gratitude. Replace it with a thought of possibility. Replace it with a thought that makes you stand a little taller. This small shift can set the direction of your entire day. It is not enough to try to push negative thoughts away. The human mind does not work well with emptiness. If you remove a thought, you must put something in its place. Think of it this way. When you catch yourself saying in your mind, "I am not good enough," stop right there. Replace it with, "I am learning, I am growing, I am capable of improving." That single replacement may seem small, but repeat it again and again. It reshapes the way you see yourself. And when you change how you see yourself, you change how you act in the world. Psychology tells us that the brain builds pathways out of repetition. Whatever thought you return to most often becomes a well-worn path in your mind. If you keep returning to anger or worry, those become easy highways for your brain to travel. But the same rule works in your favor. If you repeatedly return to thoughts of confidence, to thoughts of hope, to thoughts of solutions, then your brain makes those the natural paths. Soon, what once felt hard begins to feel natural. That is how you take control. Not by one grand act, but by small daily choices to direct your thoughts where you want them to go. You may wonder how to catch these thoughts in the first place. The answer is awareness. Throughout the day, pause and notice what is running through your mind. Notice it when you stand in line. Notice it when you are driving. Notice it when you feel your mood shift. Ask yourself quietly, what am I thinking right now? That question shines a light on the background noise in your head. And once you see it clearly, you can decide if it deserves to stay or if it needs to be replaced. There will be times when the negative thoughts are strong. Perhaps you made a mistake at work and the thought is, "I am a failure." Perhaps someone criticized you and the thought is, "Nobody respects me." In those moments, remember that the thought is not the truth. It is just a sentence your brain created. You have the ability to change that sentence. You can replace "I am a failure" with "I made a mistake and I can learn from it." You can replace "nobody respects me" with "I choose to respect myself and earn respect through my actions." This does not mean you ignore reality. It means you interpret reality in a way that empowers you instead of weakens you. Imagine how different your life becomes when you consistently practice this. Instead of being dragged around by every fear and worry, you begin to guide your mind like a steady hand on the wheel. You notice when your thoughts are pulling you off course and you gently bring them back. That builds inner strength. That builds confidence. Over time, it changes not just how you think, but how you feel, how you act, and what results you create. Now think about the effect this has on your emotions. Thoughts and emotions are partners. A negative thought triggers a negative feeling. Replace the thought and the feeling shifts as well. For example, when you think I cannot handle this challenge, you feel weak and anxious. When you replace it with I will take this step by step, you feel calmer and more capable. The situation may not have changed, but your inner world has changed. That is real control. That is self-mastery in its purest form. People often ask why this matters so much. The answer is simple. Your life is built out of your repeated thoughts and actions. If you want a new life, you must build it on new thoughts. If you continue thinking the same way you have always thought, you will continue living the same way you have always lived. But if you begin to notice your thoughts and replace them with better ones, you open the door to new choices, new actions, new results. This is how change begins. You do not need to be perfect at this. No one island. The goal is not to banish every negative thought forever. The goal is to notice more quickly and replace more often. At first, you may catch only one thought in a whole day. That is progress. Celebrate it. Then maybe you catch 3 thoughts tomorrow. With practice, you catch them earlier before they spiral into a bad mood or a poor decision. Soon, it becomes second nature. You will find yourself automatically choosing better thoughts. That is the fruit of discipline. Here is a practical exercise. Keep a small notebook with you. Every time you notice a negative thought, write it down. Right next to it, write the better thought you chose to replace it. Over time, you will build a record of your progress. You will see how your old thinking patterns lose power and how new patterns begin to take root. This record also reminds you that you are in control, that you are capable of steering your life. Another strategy is to prime your mind in advance. Start the day by choosing 3 powerful thoughts to carry with you. For example, today I will stay calm under pressure. Today I will look for opportunities to grow. Today I will speak to myself with respect. Repeat them out loud if you can. These thoughts act as anchors. When the old patterns try to return, you already have replacements ready. That preparation makes it easier to stay on course. Remember that your environment influences your thoughts too. If you surround yourself with negativity, if you spend hours consuming anger and conflict, then your mind will mirror that. But if you choose uplifting conversations, if you read words of encouragement, if you listen to voices that challenge you to grow, then your mind has better material to work with. Protect your mental diet as carefully as you protect your physical diet. Feed your mind what makes you stronger, not what makes you weaker. It is important to recognize that replacing thoughts is not about blind optimism. It is not about pretending everything is fine when it is not. It is about choosing thoughts that are true and useful. If you are struggling financially, telling yourself I am rich is not useful. Telling yourself I can learn the skills to earn more is both true and empowering. That is the difference between fantasy and growth. You replace your thoughts with ones that guide you forward, step by step. Think also about the influence this has on your relationships. When you replace judgmental thoughts with understanding ones, you become more patient. When you replace suspicious thoughts with trusting ones, you build stronger connections. People can feel the difference. They are drawn to someone who controls their mind instead of being controlled by it. Your personal power grows not only within you, but also in how others experience you. Over time, this practice builds resilience. Life will never stop presenting challenges. You will face setbacks, failures, disappointments. But if you have trained yourself to notice destructive thoughts and replace them, you will not be crushed by those challenges. You will meet them with a steady mind and a strong heart. You will say, "This thought is trying to defeat me, but I will choose one that helps me rise." That choice again and again becomes a foundation of unshakable strength. There is one more benefit worth mentioning. When you learn to control your thoughts, you begin to trust yourself. You no longer feel at the mercy of moods or fears. You know you can handle what arises inside of you. That self-trust is priceless. It allows you to walk into situations with confidence. It allows you to take risks and pursue goals, because you know that even if things go wrong, you have the inner tools to handle it. That is the essence of personal freedom. So, the invitation is simple. Begin today. Notice your thoughts. Replace the ones that weaken you with ones that strengthen you. Do it in the morning when you wake. Do it in the evening before you sleep. Do it in the middle of a stressful day. Each time you do, you reclaim a little more control. Each time you do, you become a little stronger. Over days and weeks and months, you will look back and see how far you have come. And you will know, without doubt, that taking control of your thoughts was the first step in taking control of your life. This is the work of transformation. Not dramatic gestures, not waiting for perfect circumstances, but steady daily practice with your own mind. It may be the hardest work you ever do, yet it is also the most rewarding. Because when you master your thoughts, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, you hold the power to shape a life of meaning, strength, and achievement. That is the promise of self-control, and it begins right now with the next thought you choose. Number 2, question your excuses and act when you feel resistance. Excuses are one of the most common barriers between people and their goals. They show up quietly and they sound convincing. They are the thoughts that whisper in your mind when it is time to act. They say you are too tired, you are not ready, you will start tomorrow. They feel safe because they give you a reason to avoid discomfort. But the truth is, excuses are the walls that keep you locked in the same place year after year. If you want to take control of yourself, you must learn to question every excuse and act when resistance appears. Think about how excuses begin. They rarely shout. They start as small voices of doubt or hesitation. You decide you will exercise in the morning, but when the alarm rings, you hear yourself say, just one more hour of sleep. You plan to start working on a project, but when you sit down, your mind says, I should check my phone first. Excuses thrive in those moments when action feels uncomfortable. And if you do not question them, they become habits that steal your time and your future. The first step is awareness. When you catch yourself hesitating, ask directly, is this a genuine reason or is it an excuse? A genuine reason has evidence behind it. An excuse is only a story that protects you from effort. If you are sick with a fever, resting is a reason. If you are simply tired from scrolling on your phone, saying you cannot work out is an excuse. When you bring honesty to the moment, you begin to separate what is real from what is invented. Excuses often sound logical on the surface, but if you look deeper, they fall apart. For example, the excuse, I do not have time, is one of the most common. But when you examine your day, you may notice hours lost to distractions that brought no value. Or you say, I am not ready yet, but you realize you have been waiting for years for the perfect time that never comes. Questioning your excuses means refusing to accept them at face value. You shine light on them until they cannot hide. Resistance is the signal that you are moving toward growth. The discomfort you feel before acting is not proof that you should stop. It is proof that you are about to stretch beyond your comfort zone. When you feel resistance, it is usually the exact place where you should take action. Because every meaningful change begins with a moment of discomfort. If you avoid that discomfort, you avoid the growth that could change your life. One powerful practice is to pause when you hear an excuse and ask, what am I afraid of right now? Often, resistance is fear wearing another name. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of not being good enough. When you uncover the fear, you take away much of its power. You realize it is only a feeling, not a fact. And you can still act, even when fear is present. Action is the cure for excuses. You cannot think your way out of resistance. You must move. The moment you start moving, even in a small way, the excuse begins to lose strength. If you say, I am too tired to exercise, commit to 5 minutes. If you say, I do not know enough to start that project, commit to writing 1 page or making 1 call. Once you start, momentum builds. And what felt heavy becomes lighter because you prove to yourself that you can act. Every time you choose action over excuse, you strengthen your identity. You are teaching yourself, I am someone who follows through. That belief grows stronger each time you practice it. And soon the excuses that once stopped you begin to feel weaker. You stop trusting them because you have evidence that you can move forward despite them. This is how confidence is built, not by waiting for fear to disappear, but by acting even when resistance is loud. Think of how many opportunities in life are missed because of excuses. How many businesses never started because someone said, I am not ready? How many relationships never grew because someone said, I might get hurt? How many skills never developed because someone said, I do not have the time? Excuses do not just steal moments, they steal entire futures. But when you question them and act anyway, you reclaim those futures. You create possibilities that once looked impossible. It is also important to remember that excuses often disguise themselves as kindness to yourself. You may say, I deserve a break. I will take it easy. While rest is valuable, there is a difference between rest that restores you and excuses that keep you stagnant. Real self-respect is following through on your commitments. Questioning your excuses means holding yourself accountable, even when it would be easier to let yourself off the hook. Another strategy is to use resistance as a signal. When you notice yourself hesitating, mark that as the exact moment to act. If your mind says, "Do it later," respond by doing it now. If your body says, "I do not feel like it," respond by taking one step forward. By reversing the pattern, you train yourself to see resistance, not as a stop sign, but as a green light. You learn that discomfort is not the enemy. It is the path. You will discover that acting in spite of excuses creates a deep sense of pride. It feels good not just because of the result, but because you know you overcame yourself. That pride builds self-respect, and self-respect is the foundation of personal power. You can walk taller because you know you are not controlled by weak stories in your head. You are controlled by your decisions. You may ask how to keep this practice going. Start with small promises to yourself. Choose one action each day that you will complete no matter what excuse appears. It could be reading for 15 minutes. It could be finishing one important task at work. It could be reaching out to someone you care about. Every time you follow through, you reinforce the muscle of discipline. And just like any muscle, it grows stronger with use. Over time, your relationship with resistance changes. Instead of dreading it, you begin to respect it. You realize that on the other side of resistance is the life you want. The health, the career, the relationships, the confidence, all of it lies beyond the excuses. Every great achievement is built on hundreds of small moments when someone acted while feeling resistance. You are no different. The same power is available to you if you choose it. It is not about eliminating excuses forever. They will still appear. What changes is your response. You stop believing them as truth. You see them for what they are, attempts to keep you comfortable. And you decide comfort is not your highest goal. Growth Island, Strength Island, Fulfillment Island. And those only come when you move beyond excuses. This practice also changes how you see setbacks. When you fail at something, the excuse may appear saying, "See, you were not good enough." But if you have trained yourself, you will question that excuse too. You will say, "I failed this time, but that does not mean I cannot succeed next time." You will act again. That persistence separates those who stay stuck from those who build a better life. Notice how much energy is wasted on excuses. Hours of delay, days of hesitation, weeks of avoidance. That energy could be fueling progress. When you act instead of making excuses, you redirect all that energy into forward motion. You feel more alive because you are no longer fighting yourself. You are aligned with your goals and your actions. The discipline to question your excuses creates freedom. Freedom from procrastination, freedom from regret, freedom from the cycle of starting and stopping. Freedom to live with integrity, knowing that your actions match your intentions. That freedom is priceless because it means you are in control of yourself. Every time you face resistance, you have two paths. One path is easy in the moment but heavy later. That is the path of excuses. The other path is harder in the moment but lighter later. That is the path of action. Choose the second path often enough, and your life begins to transform. You build habits of courage. You build habits of responsibility. You build habits of progress. At the end of each day, reflect on the choices you made. Ask, where did I listen to excuses and where did I take action? Celebrate the victories no matter how small. Learn from the moments you gave in. Each day is a chance to practice again. Over time, the balance shifts, and you will notice more actions and fewer excuses. That is the proof that you are taking control. Life will always present challenges. Resistance will never fully disappear. But when you train yourself to question excuses and act anyway, you no longer fear resistance. You expect it, you recognize it, and you move through it. That ability is a form of strength that carries into every area of your life. It makes you reliable, consistent, and unstoppable. The truth is, no one else can do this for you. No one else can challenge the excuses in your mind. Only you can. And when you do, you discover a level of power and freedom that many people never find. You discover that you can trust yourself to act. And once you have that trust, you can build anything you want with your life. So the challenge is clear. The next time resistance appears, do not back down. Question the excuse. See it for what it island, then act in spite of it. That single decision repeated daily will change who you are and what you can achieve. And one day you will look back and realize that the greatest victory of your life was not over circumstances or other people, but over your own excuses. That is when you will know you have truly taken control of yourself. Number 3, control your urges and choose patience over quick rewards. One of the greatest battles every person faces is the battle between what feels good now and what creates something better later. Urges are natural. They are the impulses that push you toward comfort, pleasure, and quick relief. They show up when you crave junk food instead of a healthy meal, when you want to scroll on your phone instead of working on your goals, when you want to quit because the process feels slow. These urges are not the enemy by themselves, but if you let them control you, they can quietly destroy your discipline, your progress, and your future. Taking control of yourself means learning how to pause in those moments, how to breathe, how to step back, and how to choose patience over chasing a quick reward. The human mind is wired for instant gratification. Your brain is designed to release a burst of pleasure when you satisfy an urge immediately. That is why eating sweets feels easier than cooking something healthy. That is why watching another episode feels easier than going to bed on time. But while quick rewards bring a short burst of pleasure, they almost always leave you weaker afterward. You feel guilty, you feel unproductive, you feel like you lost control. On the other hand, patience feels harder in the moment, but it leaves you stronger, prouder, and closer to what you really want. The first key is awareness. Every time an urge appears, stop and notice it. Do not rush into satisfying it. Instead, pay attention to what is happening in your body. Your heart may beat faster, your hands may fidget, your mind may repeat a sentence like, just do it now. That is the pull of the urge. When you notice it with awareness, you create a space between the feeling and the action. And in that space is your power to choose. Ask yourself in that pause, what happens if I give in right now? And what happens if I wait? Picture both futures clearly. If you eat that junk food, you may enjoy it for a few minutes, but later you will feel bloated and disappointed. If you wait, you will feel proud and disciplined, and you will move closer to your health goal. If you quit working to check your phone, you may enjoy a moment of distraction, but later you will regret wasting your time. If you wait, you will finish your work and enjoy the satisfaction of progress. The act of imagining the two futures makes patience easier because you see the truth beyond the moment. Another strategy is to count to 10 before acting on any urge. In those 10 seconds, breathe deeply. Remind yourself that feelings rise and fall like waves. Urges may feel overwhelming, but they are temporary. If you do not feed them, they fade. Waiting even a few moments proves to yourself that you are not a slave to impulse. With practice, those 10 seconds can grow into minutes, and those minutes into a lifetime of better choices. Patience is not weakness. Patience is strength. It takes strength to delay gratification when everything in you wants relief now. Each time you choose patience, you build a kind of inner muscle. Just like physical muscles grow when you resist weight, your character grows when you resist urges. And the more you practice, the stronger you become. Eventually, the urges lose their grip, because you know from experience that waiting brings better results. Think about how this plays out in real life. A student who controls the urge to party every night and instead studies patiently opens the door to a better career. An athlete who controls the urge to skip practice and instead trains patiently achieves mastery. A parent who controls the urge to react in anger and instead responds with patience builds stronger relationships with their children. In every case, the choice of patience creates a future that quick rewards could never give. Urges are not only about physical desires like food or laziness. They also show up in conversations, in emotions, and in decisions. You may feel the urge to interrupt someone in anger, to fire back a sharp comment, to defend yourself instantly. If you follow that urge, you may damage trust and create conflict. If you practice patience, if you wait a few seconds and let your emotions settle, you can respond with clarity instead of regret. That single act of patience can save respect that lasts for years. It is useful to remind yourself of the bigger picture. Ask yourself, what do I want most? And is this urge helping me or hurting me? If you want health, but the urge is for unhealthy food, Patience aligns you with what you want most. If you want financial freedom, but the urge is to dote money on something useless, patience protects your dream. If you want peace of mind, but the urge is to argue, patience gives you control. The more you connect your patience to your bigger vision, the easier it is to resist the momentary pull of an urge. You can also set up your environment to support patience. If you know that sweets trigger your urges, do not keep them in the house. If you know that scrolling your phone at night keeps you awake, put it in another room. If you know that certain situations spark impulsive spending, avoid them when possible. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. You are designing your life so that your urges have less power over you. That makes patience easier to practice, especially in the beginning. Another important point is self-talk. The words you say to yourself in the moment. Moment resistance can shape your behavior. If you say, "I cannot resist this urge," you make it true. If you say, "I can wait," "I am stronger than this," you shift your focus to control. Repeating empowering statements is not about pretending. It is about reminding yourself of your ability to choose. Over time, this inner dialogue becomes your default. Patience is not just about saying no to urges. It is about saying yes to something greater. Every time you resist an impulse, you are saying yes to your future, yes to your health, yes to your growth, yes to your character. That shift in perspective makes the act of waiting meaningful. It is not denial. It is investment. You are trading a small short-term pleasure for a larger, long-term reward. The ability to control urges also strengthens self-trust. Each time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you can rely on your own discipline. That trust is one of the most valuable assets you can have. It gives you confidence in every area of life, because you know you are not at the mercy of passing feelings. You know you can stand firm when it matters most. There will be times when you fail. You will give in to an urge, and you will feel frustrated. In those moments, patience is needed again. Patience with yourself. Learn from. Ask why you gave in, what triggered it, and how you can respond differently next time. Failure is not the end. It is feedback. As long as you keep practicing, every failure can be turned into a lesson that strengthens your patience. Remember that people around you are also influenced by how you handle urges. When others see you remain calm under pressure, when they see you resist temptations that trap many, you become an example. Your discipline encourages others to raise their standard. In this way, your patience not only transforms your life, it inspires those who watch you. To make this real, set up daily practices. Decide in advance one urge you will resist today. Maybe it is the urge to complain, the urge to procrastinate, the urge to eat unhealthy food, the urge to react in anger. Commit to noticing it, breathing through it, and choosing patience. Each day pick one. Over weeks and months, this practice reshapes who you are. In the end, the difference between a life controlled by urges and a life guided by patience is the difference between frustration and fulfillment. Urges demand everything now and leave you empty later. Patience demands strength now and leaves you full later. Choosing patience again and again builds a foundation of success, respect, and inner peace. The real question is not whether urges will come. They will. The question is whether you will let them control you, or whether you will take control of yourself. By choosing patience, you declare that you are not a slave to impulse. You declare that your future matters more than your cravings. You declare that your life will be guided by discipline, not by fleeting desires. This choice is not easy, but it is possible for anyone willing to practice. Every urge you resist is a victory. Every moment of patience is a step closer to the life you want. With each act of control, you build strength, pride, and freedom. And one day you will look back and realize that patience was not just about waiting. It was about creating the kind of life you always knew you were capable of living. Number 4, observe your triggers and respond with calm, clear decisions. Every person carries triggers that can stir strong reactions. These triggers can come from words, situations, or even small gestures. They can make you angry, anxious, defensive, or impatient. Triggers are often linked to past experiences, memories, or insecurities. And because of this, they strike quickly. One moment you are calm. The next you feel a rush of emotion that takes over your body. If you are not aware of your triggers, You may find yourself reacting in ways that harm your relationships, your work, or your peace of mind. The power lies not in eliminating every trigger, but in observing them carefully and responding with calm and clear decisions instead of impulsive reactions. The first step is noticing. Pay attention to the moments when your mood shifts suddenly. Maybe someone interrupts you and you feel disrespected. Maybe a colleague questions your idea and you feel dismissed. Maybe a loved one raises their voice and you feel attacked. Each of these moments is a clue pointing toward a trigger. If you are not aware of these patterns, you may blame the outside world for your feelings. But the truth is, the same situation might not bother another person the way it bothers you. That difference shows that the real issue is not the situation itself, but the meaning it holds for you. Once you identify your triggers, you gain insight into yourself. Ask why this situation affects me so deeply. If you get defensive when someone criticizes you, perhaps it is because you tie your self-worth to being right. If you get upset when plans change, perhaps it is because unpredictability makes you feel unsafe. These are not weaknesses. They are reflections of how you have learned to protect yourself. But by observing them without judgment, you start building the ability to choose a different path. When a trigger strikes, the body reacts before the mind can think. Your heart may beat faster. Your breathing may shorten. Your muscles may tense. These signals are important because they alert you to the trigger before your reaction takes over. Instead of pushing them away, use them as an alarm system. When you feel your chest tighten or your stomach clench, remind yourself, I am being triggered. That simple acknowledgement shifts you from unconscious reaction to conscious awareness. In that moment, pause. Do not rush into action. Count your breaths. Inhale slowly. Hold. Exhale fully. This calms the nervous system and creates space between the trigger and your response. It might feel unnatural at first because the urge to react is strong, but the pause is where your power lives. Without it, the trigger controls you. With it, you control the trigger. Now that you have paused, it is time to choose clarity. Ask yourself, what outcome do I want from this situation? If a colleague questions your idea, is your goal to win an argument, or is it to create the best solution? If your partner raises their voice, is your goal to defend your pride, or is it to maintain a healthy connection? By focusing on the outcome, you rise above the pull of the trigger and align your response with your values. Responding calmly does not mean being passive. It means responding from strength instead of reaction. If someone disrespects you, calm firmness has more power than an outburst. If someone criticizes you unfairly, a clear question has more weight than shouting back. When you are zen calmly, you shift the energy of the situation. You bring control where there was chaos. And often your calmness influences others to lower their intensity as well. Triggers often feed on assumptions. You may assume someone's tone means they dislike you. You may assume a delay means you are being ignored. But assumptions rarely tell the full story. By pausing, you give yourself time to gather facts. You might discover the tone had nothing to do with you, or the delay was caused by circumstances beyond their control. Clarity comes from observation, not from jumping to conclusions. Another powerful practice is reflection. At the end of the day, review the moments you were triggered. Ask what set me off. How did I respond? And what could I do better next time? Write it down if you can. Over time, you will see patterns. You may notice certain environments, people, or situations trigger you more often. This awareness gives you the chance to prepare in advance. The next time you face that situation, you will already have strategies ready to keep calm. It also helps to strengthen your inner foundation. When you take care of your body through rest, nutrition, and exercise, you are less vulnerable to triggers. When you practice mindfulness or journaling, you are more aware of your thoughts before they spiral. When you invest in your soul growth, criticism hurts less because you know your worth is not fragile. These practices do not remove triggers, but they give you the stability to face them without breaking. Relationships are often where triggers appear most strongly, because those closest to you can touch the most sensitive parts of your identity. In these moments, observing your triggers is even more crucial. Instead of reacting instantly, express your feelings with clarity. Say, when this happened, felt hurt. Instead of lashing out, This transforms conflict into conversation. It turns blame into understanding. It is not easy, but it builds respect and trust. Another layer to this is learning not to take everything personally. Many triggers are fueled by the belief that everything is directed at you. But often, people's actions reflect their own stress, insecurities, or struggles. When you recognize this, you can step back and say, "This is not about me." That realization removes much of the deej and allows you to respond with calm perspective. To develop this skill, practice in small situations first. When someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of shouting, observe your trigger and choose patience. When a stranger is rude, instead of snapping back, pause and decide not to give away your peace. These small victories prepare you for bigger challenges in relationships, work, and life. Over time, as you use observing and responding, you will notice a shift inside yourself. You will feel more stable, less controlled by sudden newness. People will notice it too. They will see you as steady, trustworthy, and wise. That reputation is not built overnight, but it grows from every moment you choose calmness over reaction. The power of this practice is not just in avoiding mistakes. It is in creating a life guided by clarity. Decisions made in reaction are often regretted. Decisions made in calm awareness are usually aligned with your values. Imagine building a future shaped not by your triggers, but by your vision. That is the difference this practice creates. When you view this way, you no longer fear triggers. You expect them. You know they will come, but you also know you can handle them. This confidence allows you to walk through life with ease. Stressful situations no longer shake you as deeply. Challenges no longer make you lose control. You become the steady center in the middle of noise and chaos. Every day gives you chances to practice. Each conversation, each challenge, each unexpected event is an opportunity to observe your triggers and respond with clarity. Some days you will do well, other days you will slip. That is part of growth. The goal is not perfection, but progress. Each time you respond calmly of reacting, you strengthen your control. This process requires courage, because it is easier to blame others for triggering you than to take responsibility for your response. But when you take ownership, you step into true power. You may not control what others do or say, but you always control how you respond. And that control is the foundation of freedom. In time, you will realize that the people who seem strongest are not those who never feel triggered, but those who remain steady when triggers appear. They are not controlled by emotion. They are guided by clarity. That is the strength you are building, and it will serve you in every part of life. From your personal relationships, your career, to your own inner peace. So the practice is simple but powerful. Observe your triggers, pause when they appear, breathe deeply, ask what outcome you want. Respond with calm clarity instead of impulse. Reflect on your progress, strengthen your foundation, and keep practicing. These steps may seem small, but over time they reshape your character. They turn you into someone who lives with intention instead of reaction. And when you reach that point, you will look back and realize you no longer live at the mercy of your triggers. You live guided by calm, clear decisions that lead you toward the life you truly want. Number 5, build confidence by keeping the promises you make. Confidence is not built by wishing for it or pretending to have it. Real confidence comes from evidence, and the strongest evidence is the record you keep with yourself. Every time you make a promise and keep it, you teach yourself that you can be trusted. Every time you commit to something and follow through, you strengthen the belief that your word means something. This is how confidence grows. Not from speeches, not from luck, but from the discipline of keeping the promises you make. Think about the opposite. When you tell yourself you will wake up early, and then you snooze the alarm, you chip away at your trust in yourself. When you decide to start eating healthy, but then you break your plan after one day, you weaken the image you hold of yourself. When you commit to finishing a project but push it off again and again, you reinforce the belief that your word is not reliable. Over time, these small breaks in trust add up, and you begin to doubt your ability. That doubt becomes a voice that says you cannot handle challenges or follow through on your dreams. But the good news is that confidence can be rebuilt one promise at a time. The size of the promise does not matter at first. What matters is consistency. If you promise yourself to drink more water today, and you do it, that is a victory. If you promise to make your bed each morning and you follow through, that is a victory. Each small promise kept becomes a brick in the foundation of confidence. Soon you begin to see yourself differently. You begin to believe, I am someone who follows through. The reason this is so powerful is because the relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. If you cannot trust yourself, it is hard to trust others. If you do not respect your own word, it is hard to expect others to respect it. But when you prove to yourself that you are reliable, that reliability radiates outward. People feel it when they work with you, when they live with you, when they rely on you. Confidence starts inside, but it shows everywhere. Promises to yourself do not need to be grand. In fact, the smaller they are, the better in the beginning. Choose promises that you know you can keep. If you have not exercised in months, promising to run every day for an hour is too much. Instead, promise to walk for 10 minutes today. Keep that promise. Then tomorrow, do it again. Once the pattern is strong, increase the challenge. By stacking small wins, you build unshakable confidence step by step. It is important to write your promises down. When you see them in front of you, they become clear commitments instead of vague intention. Write them in a notebook or on a calendar. Check them off each time you complete them. This record becomes a mirror, showing you the truth about your actions. And when you look back and see promise after promise kept, you will feel pride that no one can take away. Sometimes you will be tempted to break a promise to yourself because no one else is watching. You might think, no one will know if I skip today, but you will know. And that knowledge matters more than anything. Breaking a promise to yourself quietly is still selling it, and it leaves the same damage. On the other hand, keeping a promise in private strengthens your integrity even more, because you are proving that you act with discipline even when no one is there to applaud you. Confidence also grows when you keep promises to others, but it begins with yourself. If you cannot follow through on what you tell yourself, it becomes harder to follow through on commitments to others. Start with your own word. Once you master that, you naturally carry the same strength into every promise you make in relationships, in work, and in your community. People will notice that your actions match your words, and that consistency builds trust. Breaking promises can also be traced back to setting unrealistic ones. Do not set yourself up for failure by creating promises too big for your current stage. Confidence is not about aiming for perfection. It is about aiming for growth. Set promises that stretch you, but do not overwhelm you. As you keep them, your capacity grows, and then you are able to handle bigger commitments without fear. There will be days when you slip. You may break a promise. The important thing is not to let that failure define you. Instead, face it directly. Ask why you broke the promise. Was it lack of preparation? Was it fear? Was it distraction? Learn the lesson, and then reset. Make the promise again, and keep it this time. Every failure is a chance to rebuild stronger. Confidence is not built on never failing. It is built on refusing to quit when you do. The reason this practice is really tied to psychology is because your brain keeps score. It remembers when you say one thing and do another. It stores evidence of inconsistency and uses it to judge your abilities. But the same brain also stores evidence of discipline. Every time you keep a promise, you are creating proof. And over time, that proof reshapes your identity. You no longer need to fake confidence because you have built real confidence based on action. Imagine two versions of yourself. One version constantly breaks promises, and as a result, doubts every goal. The other version consistently keeps promises, and as a result feels capable of handling anything. Which version would you rather live as? The difference is not talent, luck, or opportunity. The difference is the discipline of honoring your word. One of the most powerful feelings in life is being able to rely on yourself. When you say, I will do it, and you know you will, no matter how small or how difficult, you feel unstoppable. That feeling is worth more than applause or recognition, because it is the foundation of true self-respect. And self-respect is what turns into lasting confidence. Confidence is contagious. When you keep promises and act with discipline, people trust you. They believe in you because they see that you believe in yourself. Opportunities come more easily to people who follow through, not because they are lucky, but because others know they can count on them. This trust opens doors in careers, in friendships, and in every area of life. At the end of each day, reflect on the promises you made. Did you keep them? If yes, feel the pride. If no, ask what you will do differently tomorrow. This daily reflection keeps you honest and prevents you from drifting. It reminds you that confidence is not a one-time achievement, but a daily practice. Building confidence by keeping promises is simple but not easy. It requires honesty, discipline, and consistency. But over weeks and months, you will notice yourself standing taller, speaking with more certainty, and pursuing bigger goals. Not because Sen told you to believe in yourself, but because you built the evidence with your own actions. The truth is that the world will always test you. Challenges will come. Doubts will whisper. People may not believe in you, but if you have built confidence through the promises you kept, you will be steady. You will know that no matter what happens outside, you can trust yourself inside. And that is the deepest form of confidence a person can have. So begin now. Make one promise to yourself today and keep it. Then make another tomorrow. Over time, these small commitments will turn into a strong identity. You will no longer chase confidence. You will live, and that confidence will carry you through every challenge, every dream, and every stage of life. Number 6, stop comparing yourself and focus on personal growth. One of the biggest traps people fall into is comparing themselves with others. It happens quietly and almost automatically. You see someone achieving success faster than you, and suddenly your own progress feels small. You notice someone with more money, better looks, or a bigger platform, and suddenly your confidence drops. This habit is exhausting because it keeps you stuck in a cycle of never feeling enough. The truth is that comparing yourself to others is a losing game. There will always be someone ahead of you in some area of life, and there will always be someone behind you. If your sense of worth is tied to that race, you will never feel peace. Taking control of yourself means refusing to play that game and choosing instead to focus on your own growth. When you compare yourself, you measure your journey with someone else's yardstick. You overlook the fact that their life story, circumstances, and timing are completely different from yours. You do not see their struggles, their doubts, or the sacrifices they make. You only see the highlight moments they show the world. This creates an illusion that makes you feel behind even when you may be making strong progress. By focusing on your personal growth instead, you shift from chasing someone else's pace to honoring your own. Personal growth is about becoming better than you were yesterday, not better than someone else today. If yesterday you were disorganized and today you set up a plan, that is growth. If last year you avoided challenges and this year you face them with courage, that is growth. These steps may not look impressive when compared to another person's achievements, but they matter deeply because they move your life forward. The psychology behind comparison is rooted in insecurity. When you measure yourself against others, you are searching for validation. You are asking, am I good enough? But the problem is that external validation never satisfies for long. Even if you catch up to one person, there will always be another to chase. That endless pursuit drains your energy and keeps you from investing it into the only place that really counts, your own development. A practical way to shift your focus is to track your progress over time. Write down where you are now in different areas of life. Your health, your relationships, your finances, your mindset. Then every month, review what has improved. Celebrate even the smallest growth. Did you read more books? Did you manage stress better? Did you take care of your body with consistency? These markers are far more valuable than comparing yourself to a stranger's success, because they show how much stronger you have become. Another step is to control your environment. If social media constantly triggers comparison, limit your time there or follow only accounts that inspire growth rather than envy. If conversations with people leave you feeling small, set boundaries with those interactions. Surround yourself with people who encourage progress, who celebrate your wins, and who challenge you to grow without making you feel less. Your environment shapes your mindset, and protecting it is part of focusing on personal growth. When you stop comparing, you also free yourself to learn from others without jealousy. Instead of feeling threatened by someone's success, you can ask, what can I learn from their discipline, their habits, their mindset? You shift from envy to curiosity, and that shift turns others into teachers rather than competitors. Growth becomes collaborative instead of competitive. Personal growth requires patience. Change does not happen overnight. If you are focused only on others, you may feel rushed, as if you are falling behind. But when you focus on your own path, you give yourself permission to grow steadily and sustainably. Small, consistent increments compound into massive transformation over time. The pace does not matter as long as you keep moving forward. It is also important to define growth for yourself. For some, growth may mean earning more money. For others, it may mean becoming more patient, healthier, or more present with family. If you let set define growth for you, you may chase things you do not truly care about. Reflect on what growth means in your life. Ask, what qualities and skills do I want to develop? Ask, what kind of person I want to become? When your goals are rooted in your own values, comparison loses its power because you are measuring yourself against your own vision. Growth is not only about achievements, but also about resilience. Each time you fail and stand back up, you grow stronger. Each time you face fear and move anyway, you grow braver. These victories may not be visible to others, but they matter greatly to your character. When you compare yourself, you ignore these invisible wins. When you focus on growth, you honor them and recognize their impact. Think of the peace that comes with this shift. Instead of waking up and feeling anxious about where you stand compared to others, you wake up and ask, how can I improve today? Instead of scrolling and feeling envy, you reflect and feel gratitude for how far you have come. Instead of rushing to prove yourself, you settle into a steady rhythm of learning, building, and improving. That peace allows you to use your energy wisely, rather than wasting it on insecurity. There will still be moments when comparison creeps in. You may see someone succeed in the very area you are struggling. When that happens, remind yourself that their journey is not your journey. They may be on chapter 20, while you are on chapter 5. You cannot compare chapters and expect fairness. Instead, ask yourself what you can do today to move to chapter 6. That perspective keeps you grounded and focused. Over time, this practice builds authentic confidence. Confidence that does not come from being the best, but from knowing you are better than you were yesterday. Confidence that is not shaken by someone else's progress, because it is rooted in your own. This kind of confidence is steady and lasting because it is built on truth. Focusing on personal growth also deepens your sense of fulfillment. Success based on comparison always leaves you chasing the next milestone. Success based on growth fills you with satisfaction because you know you are becoming the person you want to be. You may still aim for achievements, but you measure them by how they contribute to your growth, rather than how they stack against others. In your relationships, this mindset creates harmony. Comparison often fuels jealousy, resentment, or competition with friends, partners, or coworkers. When you let go of comparison, you can genuinely celebrate the success of others. Their wins no longer feel like your loss. Instead, they become reminders that growth is possible in many ways. You feel joy for them while still being committed to your own journey. One more key to focusing on growth is gratitude. Each day, list what you are thankful for about your own progress in your current life. Gratitude shifts your attention from what you lack to what you have. It strengthens your awareness of how much you have already grown. Gratitude and growth together create a mindset of abundance, where you feel content, yet motivated to keep moving forward. Life becomes much lighter when you no longer measure your worth against others. The pressure fades, and in this place comes freedom. Freedom to move at your pace. Freedom to choose your goals. Freedom to honor your own story without feeling behind. That freedom is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, and it begins the moment you stop comparing and focus on your personal growth. So each day, remind yourself, the only person I need to be better than is the person I was yesterday. If you live by that rule, you will always grow, you will always find progress, and you will always carry the peace and confidence that comes from knowing you are living your own journey, not chasing someone else's. Over time, those steady steps will create a life that feels authentic, strong, and deeply fulfilling. Number 7, use discomfort as practice to strengthen your resilience. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid discomfort. They want comfort in their routines, in their choices, in their surroundings. But the truth is that real strength does not grow in comfort. Real strength grows when you place yourself in situations that stretch you, when you face moments that test your patience, your courage, and your ability to keep moving. Discomfort is not just an obstacle to endure. It is an opportunity to practice resilience. Every uncomfortable moment is a chance to train your mind and body to handle more, to stay steady when life feels uncertain, and to push forward when others give up. Resilience is the ability to recover quickly, to stay focused under stress, and to keep going even when things get difficult. This is not something you are simply born with. It is something you build through repeated exposure to challenges. Just like lifting weights strengthens your muscles, using discomfort as practice strengthens your resilience. The more you face discomfort directly, the more you learn that you can survive it and even grow because of it. Think about the times in your life when you grew the most. Chances are those moments were not easy. Maybe it was when you moved to a new city and had to adapt. Maybe it was when you failed at something important and had to rebuild. Maybe it was when you were rejected or disappointed and had to find your strength again. Those uncomfortable experiences forced you to dig deeper. They showed you that you could endure pain, disappointment, or fear and still come out stronger on the other side. That is the gift of discomfort. It teaches you resilience in ways comfort never can. The key is to stop avoiding discomfort and start using it. Instead of running away from things that feel difficult, lean into them as practice. When you feel resistance, see it as training. If you are nervous about speaking up in a meeting, do it anyway and use the discomfort to build confidence. If you are tempted to quit a workout because it feels hard, push through and let the discomfort teach you endurance. If you face rejection or criticism, do not hide from it. Absorb it, learn from it, and allow it to toughen your skin. Every time you do this, you are building resilience that will serve you in every area of life. It is important to understand that discomfort does not last forever. In the moment, it can feel overwhelming. Your heart races, your thoughts speed up, your body wants to escape. But if you stay with it, you realize the feeling passes. What felt unbearable becomes manageable, and what felt threatening loses its power. That realization revisions everything. You learn that discomfort is not as dangerous as it seems. And once you know that, you can face bigger and bigger challenges without fear. Using discomfort as practice also builds mental flexibility. Life rarely goes exactly the way you expect. Plans change, problems arise, setbacks appear. If you only function well when things are easy, you will be crushed by these changes. But if you have trained yourself to face discomfort, you adapt more quickly. You stay calm when others panic. You find solutions instead of shutting down. This flexibility is one of the most valuable skills you can have, because it allows you to navigate uncertainty with strength. One way to practice is to intentionally place yourself in small, uncomfortable situations. Wake up earlier than you want. Take a cold shower. Say no to distractions when you want entertainment. Speak up when silence would feel safer. Each of these actions may feel uncomfortable, but they train your mind to endure. They build the habit of facing it instead of avoiding it. Over time, these small practices compound into unshakable resilience. Another powerful way to reframe discomfort is to remind yourself why you are enduring it. Discomfort without purpose feels like suffering. Discomfort with purpose feels like growth. If you remind yourself that the hard workout is making you healthier, the long hours of study are building your future, the tough conversation is strengthening your relationships, then the discomfort becomes meaningful. Purpose gives you the fuel to keep going even when the process feels heavy. Resilience also grows when you reflect on your progress. After each challenge, take time to acknowledge what you went through and how you handled it. Notice how you felt at the beginning compared to the end. Recognize that what once felt impossible is now behind you. This reflection cements the lesson and boosts your confidence for the next challenge. You begin to see yourself as capable of handling much more than you thought. Discomfort is not only about external challenges, it also shows up internally, in emotions like fear, sadness,
or frustration. Many people avoid these emotions, distracting themselves instead of facing them. But if you learn to sit with uncomfortable emotions, to feel them without running away, you build emotional resilience. You realize that feelings, no matter how strong, will not destroy you. You can face them, understand them, and move forward. That strength makes you unshakable, because nothing inside you can take you down. This practice of embracing discomfort has another benefit. It builds gratitude. When you experience discomfort, you gain deeper appreciation for comfort. When you push through hard days, the good days feel richer. When you endure hunger, you appreciate food more. When you push through loneliness, you value connection more. Discomfort sharpens your awareness of life's blessings, and that gratitude becomes another source of resilience. In relationships, resilience matters just as much. Discomfort often allies in conflicts, misunderstandings, or periods of distance. If you avoid these uncomfortable moments, the relationship weakens. But if you face them, if you have the hard conversations and work through the tension, the relationship becomes stronger. Discomfort becomes the training ground for deeper connection, because it forces honesty, patience, and understanding. You may also notice that when you embrace discomfort, your self-respect grows. Each time you face a challenge head-on, you prove to yourself that you can handle life's weight. That self-respect builds pride. Not pride based on what others think, but pride based on your own courage. This pride is what fuels long-term resilience, because you carry the memory of all the times you stood strong when you could have backed down. Over time, discomfort becomes less threatening and more like a signal. You begin to see it as a sign that you are growing. When you feel it, you know you are stepping into new territory. This perspective removes fear and replaces it with determination. You no longer ask, "How can I avoid this discomfort?" You ask, "How can I use this discomfort to grow?" Life will always present difficulty. No one escapes challenges, losses, or struggles. But if you train yourself to use discomfort as practice, you are never caught unprepared. When the big challenges arrive, you already have the resilience to face them. You have already practiced patience, endurance, and calm in smaller struggles. This preparation makes you strong, not just for today, but for the rest of your life. The reality is that comfort is temporary and fragile. Discomfort is inevitable and unavoidable, but your response is what determines whether discomfort weakens you or strengthens you. If you run from it, you shrink. If you face it, you grow. Each moment of discomfort carries a lesson, and if you are willing to learn, you become more resilient with every step. So choose to embrace discomfort. Use it as practice. See every challenge as a chance to sharpen your character. Feel the resistance and move forward anyway. Learn from each struggle and carry the pride of knowing you are building resilience day by day. When you live this way, life's hardships no longer crush you. Instead, they shape you into someone stronger, steadier, and ready for anything. This is as you take control of yourself by turning discomfort into a tool for growth and resilience that nothing can take away.
Number 8. Direct your attention fully and avoid wasting your energy. Every person is given a limited amount of energy each day. That energy fuels your thoughts, your decisions, your actions, and your progress. When you spread it thin by dividing your attention across too many things, you weaken your ability to make real progress in any of them. The truth is that wasted energy is one of the main reasons people feel stuck. They are busy, yet not productive. They're tired, yet not fulfilled. The solution lies in directing your attention fully and refusing to leak energy into places that do not matter. Attention is like a beam of light. When it is scattered, it is weak. When it is concentrated, it is powerful enough to cut through obstacles. When you give your attention completely to one task, you not only complete it faster, you also complete it better. But in the modern world, distractions compete for your focus at every moment. Your phone buzzes, notifications appear, conversations pull at you, worries run in your head. If you do not take control, you end up surrendering your attention to things that do not deserve it. The first step is awareness. Notice where your attention goes throughout the day. Notice how often you check your phone without reason. Notice how many times you switch tasks before finishing one. Notice how much energy you spend replaying the past or imagining the future instead of acting in the present. This awareness may surprise you because most people underestimate how much attention they lose to meaningless habits. But once you see it clearly, you can begin to redirect it. One practical way to direct your attention is to decide on your priorities before the day begins. Ask yourself, what 3 things matter most today? Write them down and commit to focusing on them fully. When distractions arise, measure them against those priorities. If they do not align, they are not worth your attention. This simple filter saves you from pouring energy into things that make no difference in the long run. Another important step is to create boundaries with your environment. If you constantly keep your phone beside you, you are inviting distraction. If you keep your email open while working on deep tasks, you are splitting your energy. Small adjustments like silencing notifications, setting specific times to check messages, or working in a clean environment can make a dramatic difference. These boundaries protect your attention and allow you to give your best energy where it matters most. Directing attention also means mastering the art of being present. Many people lose energy because they are physically in one place, but mentally in another. They sit with family but think about work. They work but scroll through social media in between. They exercise but think about tomorrow's schedule. This split focus not only wastes energy, but also robs you of the joy of each moment. By practicing presence, by giving your full attention to the task or person in front of you, you experience life more deeply and use your energy more effectively. Energy is also wasted through unnecessary worry and overthinking. You may spend hours running scenarios in your head about what could go wrong or what others might think. This mental cycle drains you without producing any result. Directing your attention means pulling yourself back from those loops and asking, what action can I take now? Action uses energy but returns progress. Overthinking uses energy and returns nothing. The difference is clear once you start practicing awareness. Resisting distractions is not only about discipline, but also about clarity of purpose. When you know why something matters, it is easier to focus on it fully. If you are unclear about your goals, distractions will always win because they feel easier and more entertaining. But when your purpose is strong, when you know exactly what you are working toward, you are more willing to direct your energy and ignore the noise. Another important point is that attention is not infinite. You cannot direct it everywhere. Every yes you give to one thing is a no you give to something else. If you spend hours on trivial matters, you have less left for the meaningful ones. Being selective with where you place attention is not selfish. It is necessary. You must guard your energy the way you would guard something valuable, because it is the fuel for your entire life. Practicing single tasking is one of the most effective ways to protect attention. The modern habit of multitasking is an illusion of productivity. When you juggle tasks, you are not doing them at the same time. You are switching rapidly, and each switch drains energy. Instead, commit to finishing one task fully before moving to the next. You will find yourself not only finishing faster, but also feeling less mentally exhausted. Directing attention also requires managing the people around you. Some conversations and relationships give energy, while others drain it. If you constantly engage with negativity, gossip, or drama, you are wasting valuable attention. Choose your interactions wisely. Spend more time with people who uplift, challenge, and inspire you. Reduce time with those who constantly pull you into distractions or negativity. Your energy is precious. Spend it where it contributes to growth. Your physical state also affects your ability to direct attention. Poor sleep, bad diet, and lack of exercise all reduce your capacity to focus. When your body is drained, your attention scatters more easily. Taking care of your health is not only about fitness. It is about protecting the sharpness of your mind. A rested, nourished body gives you more control over where your attention flows. Reflection is another tool that strengthens attention. At the end of each day, review how you used your energy. Ask yourself, where did I focus fully, and where did I waste attention? This reflection is not about judgment, but about learning. Over time, you will notice patterns. You will identify the distractions that cost you the most,
and the practices that protect you best. With that knowledge, you can refine your habits and strengthen your control. Directing your attention is not about removing all rest or leisure. It is about choosing them consciously rather than slipping into them unconsciously. Watching a movie, reading a book, or spending time with friends is valuable if it is intentional. But losing hours to scrolling, gossip, or mindless activities steals energy without giving you renewal. The difference is in intention. Direct your attention even in rest, and it becomes restoration rather than waste. The reward for this practice is freedom. When you stop scattering your energy, you stop feeling drained all the time. When you give full attention to what matters, you accomplish more with less effort. You feel more alive because your energy is being spent on things that truly matter. That sense of alignment, knowing that your focus matches your values, creates a deep satisfaction that distractions can never give. Over time, directing your attention builds discipline, and discipline builds momentum. Each focused day moves you forward in your goal. Each focused conversation deepens your relationships. Each focused moment of learning expands your mind. These gains compound, and soon you find yourself far ahead of where you would have been if you had continued scattering your energy. Life will always offer distraction. There will always be noise, temptations, and demands for your attention. But you have the power to choose where your energy flows. You can waste it on what is trivial, or you can invest it in what matters. The choice shapes your future. Every day, every hour, every moment gives you the chance to direct your attention fully. And when you make that choice consistently, you discover a level of clarity, strength, and peace that transforms the way you live. Number 9. Shape your identity by repeating actions that define you. Who you believe yourself to be is not fixed. Your identity is not just the result of your past or the opinions of others. It is shaped day by day by the actions you repeat. Every time you take an action, you are casting a vote for the type of person you are becoming. When you repeat those actions, they begin to define you. If you want to take control of yourself, you must pay attention to what you do consistently. Because those small, repeated behaviors are building the story you carry about who you are. Confidence, discipline, kindness, strength. None of these qualities appear by accident. They are the result of patterns. A disciplined person is simply someone who has practiced following through again and again. A kind person is someone who has chosen to act with compassion repeatedly. A confident person is someone who has faced challenges and proven to themselves many times that they can handle them. These qualities may look like traits, but in truth they are identities formed by repeated actions. Many people try to change their lives by aiming for big transformation. They declare, "I will be a completely new person starting today." But this approach often fails because identity is not built in one decision. It is built in hundreds of small decisions carried out consistently. If you want to shape your identity, the question to ask is not, who do I want to be someday? But what actions can I repeat today that align with the person I want to become? For example, if you want to be someone who is healthy, then your identity is shaped each time you choose nourishing food, each time you exercise, each time you rest properly. One choice does not define you, but repeated choices do. Over time, you stop saying, "I am trying to get healthy," and you start saying, "I am a healthy person." The repeated actions create the belief, and the belief reinforces the actions. The same principle applies to every area. If you want to be a reliable person, then keep your commitments, no matter how small. If you want to be a learner, then read and study daily. If you want to be a leader, then practice listening, guiding, and taking responsibility regularly. You do not wait until the world calls you these things. You earn the identity by doing the actions consistently. Your brain is always looking for evidence to support your self-image. If you say, "I am lazy," but you have a record of showing up every morning to do the work, your brain cannot hold that belief for long. The evidence of your actions will rewrite the story. On the other hand, if you say, "I am disciplined," but you constantly break promises to yourself, your brain knows the truth. Identity is not built by words alone. It is built by repeated evidence. This is why habits are so powerful. Habits are repeated actions that require less thought over time. They run automatically. And because of this, they play a huge role in shaping identity. If you build habits that reflect the identity you want, you are programming yourself to become that person. If your habits contradict the identity you want, you are stuck in conflict. That is why lasting change happens when you align your habits with your desired identity. Start small. If you want to see yourself as disciplined, choose one habit to prove it. Wake up at the same time each morning. If you want to see yourself as creative, commit to writing 1 page a day or practicing your art daily. If you want to see yourself as resilient, take 1 cold shower, finish 1 workout, or push through 1 challenge that you would normally avoid. These small repeated actions do not look dramatic, but they add up to something far greater: the story you believe about yourself. It is important to notice the identities you already carry. Some of them are empowering, others are limited. Maybe you say, "I am not good with money," or "I am not disciplined," or "I am shy." These are identities shaped by repeated actions in the past, but that are not permanent. The moment you start repeating new actions, you begin to rewrite the story. If you want to be good with money, start by saving a small amount regularly. If you want to be more disciplined, start by completing 1 task each day without fail. If you want to be confident, start by speaking up once a day. Each action is like a brushstroke, painting a new picture of who you are. Consistency is what turns actions into identity. Anyone can go to the gym once, read a book once, or speak up once. But those actions only shape your identity when they are repeated over and over. Each repetition sends a message to your brain. This is who I am. Over time, the message becomes ingrained, and you no longer have to convince yourself. You simply live it. There will be setbacks. You may miss a day, break a streak, or slip into old patterns. That does not erase your identity unless you let it. 1 missed action does not define you. What defines you is what you return to. Resilient identities are shaped not by perfection, but by persistence. When you fail, get back to the actions that align with who you want to be. Each return strengthens you, because it proves that your identity is stronger than a temporary slip. It also helps to surround yourself with environments and people that support your desired identity. If you want to be someone who values health, spend time with people who live that way. If you want to be someone who learns, join groups or communities that encourage growth. Your environment either makes it easier or harder to repeat the actions that shape your identity. Choose environments that pull you forward instead of holding you back. Reflection is a powerful tool here. At the end of each week, ask yourself, what actions did I repeat that define me? Did I act in ways that reflect the person I want to become? Did I drift into actions that contradict that identity? Reflection keeps you honest. It prevents you from slipping into autopilot and reminds you that every action counts. When you shape your identity through repeated actions, you no longer rely on motivation alone. Motivation rises and falls, but habits and identity remain steady. You do not need to pump yourself up each day. If you already believe this is who I am, the belief carries you even on difficult days. This is why identity-based change is so much stronger than goal-based change. Goals focus on outcomes, but identity focuses on who you are becoming. And once your identity shifts, the outcomes follow naturally. Imagine the freedom of knowing that you are not stuck with the person you were yesterday. You can change the story by changing your repeated actions. You can move from insecure to confident, from inconsistent to disciplined, from passive to strong. The power lies in what you choose to do today, and what you repeat tomorrow, and the day after that. Over time, those choices accumulate into an identity that feels unshakable. So the question you must ask yourself is, what actions am I repeating that define me right now? And what actions do I need to repeat to shape the identity I truly want? When you answer that honestly and act on it, you begin to take control of yourself in the most powerful way possible, by shaping the very foundation of who you are through consistent, defining action. Number 10. Reflect every night and reset your mindset for tomorrow. The way you end your day has a powerful influence on the way you begin the next one. Most people go to bed carrying the stress, frustrations, and unfinished business of the day without ever pausing to clear their mind. They replay mistakes, dwell on arguments, or worry about tomorrow. As a result, they fall asleep with heaviness, and they wake up with the same heaviness multiplied. Taking control of yourself means choosing a different approach. It means reflecting each night with honesty and resetting your mindset so you can face the next day with clarity and strength. Reflection at night is not about judgment. It is about awareness. It is giving yourself the opportunity to review the day with open eyes and ask, how did I live today? Where did I do well? Where can I improve? These questions allow you to see patterns that you might miss in the rush of the day. Maybe you notice that you wasted time on distraction. Maybe you see that you kept your patience when normally you would not. Maybe you realize that you put off something important. By reflecting, you bring these lessons into focus so that tomorrow you can do better. Without reflection, days blur together, and the same mistakes repeat. With reflection, each day becomes a teacher. One powerful way to reflect is to write down 3 things you did well and 3 things you could improve. Writing forces clarity. When your thoughts are only in your head, they swirl around without form. But on paper, they take shape. You see the victories you might have ignored, and you see the habits that need attention. This small act of recording makes you accountable to yourself. Over time, it becomes a log of progress that proves you are moving forward. Resetting your mindset is just as important as reflection. Once you acknowledge the lessons of the day, you must release them. You cannot carry the weight of today into tomorrow if you want to stay sharp and strong. Resetting means saying to yourself, today is finished. I have learned from it, and now I let it go. This is not about denying mistakes, but about refusing to be chained to them. Each day deserves a fresh chance, and you cannot give yourself that chance if you hold on to yesterday. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to reset. Before you sleep, list what you are thankful for. It may be something small like a good conversation, a healthy meal, or simply making it through a tough day. Gratitude softens the mind, reduces stress, and reminds you that no matter how difficult the day was, there were still moments of value. Ending the day in gratitude helps you wake up with a lighter heart. Reflection also deepens your self-awareness. As you look back each night, you begin to notice your triggers, your patterns, your strengths, and your weaknesses. You may realize that certain environments drain your energy, while others give you life. You may see that certain people bring out your best qualities, while others bring out your worst. This awareness allows you to make better choices tomorrow. It gives you the power to design your days more intentionally, instead of letting them unfold by accident. Another benefit of nightly reflection is improvement in decision-making. Every day you make hundreds of small choices, and some of them are not. When you reflect, you see where you rushed, where you hesitated, or where you allowed emotions to control you. This recognition helps you approach similar choices tomorrow with more clarity. You are training your mind to learn from each decision, which over time creates wisdom. Sleep is also affected by your mindset at night. When you lie in bed with unresolved stress, your body stays tense and your mind restless. Berman resetting act as a release valve. By writing, thinking, or speaking through your day, you give your brain permission to relax. You close the chapter, which allows you to sleep deeper. A well-rested mind is sharper, calmer, and stronger the next day. To reset effectively, you can practice visualization. Imagine placing all the worries of the day in a box and setting it aside. Tell yourself you will handle them tomorrow with fresh energy. Then visualize tomorrow going well. See yourself waking up on time, working with focus, handling challenges calmly. This mental rehearsal plants seeds in your subconscious and gives you direction before the day even begins. The habit of reflecting and resetting also protects you from drifting. Without it, weeks turn into months with little change. You may work hard, but without awareness, you repeat the same unhelpful patterns. With reflection, you stay on track. You adjust quickly instead of waiting until problems become too big. You build momentum because each day builds on the lessons of the last. It is important to keep the process simple. Reflection should not become a heavy chore. A few minutes of honest review, a few notes in a journal, a few deep thoughts before bed are enough. What matters most is consistency. Doing it every night trains your brain to close the day and prepare for the next. Over time, it becomes a ritual that signals to your mind and body that it is time to rest and reset. This practice also strengthens self-trust. When you commit to reflecting each night and actually do it, you build integrity with yourself. You prove that your growth matters to you. That consistency reinforces the belief that you are in control of your own path. Self-trust leads to confidence, and confidence leads to stronger action the next day. Reflection at night is also a chance to acknowledge progress. Many people are so focused on what they have not achieved that they forget how far they have come. Each night, look back and notice the small wins. Maybe you handled stress better. Maybe you stayed consistent with a habit. Maybe you showed kindness when you could have been impatient. Recognizing these wins keeps you motivated, because progress, no matter how small, fuels growth. Over time, this nightly ritual rewires your mindset. Instead of ending the day with frustration or regret, you end it with clarity, gratitude, and peace. Instead of waking up with heaviness, you wake up with direction. Each day becomes an opportunity to improve, not a repeat of yesterday's mistakes. This shift compounds, creating a life of steady growth and resilience. The world will not stop being chaotic. Stress, challenges, and setbacks will still come. But with the habit of reflecting and resetting, you create an anchor. No matter how stormy the day is, you know you will end it with a review, a release, and a reset. That knowledge alone reduces anxiety, because it gives you control. You may not control what happens around you, but you always control how you close your day and prepare for the next. So tonight, before you sleep, take a few minutes to reflect. Ask yourself what you learned today. Ask yourself how you can improve tomorrow. Write it down, release the weight, and reset your mindset. When you wake up, you will not be dragging yesterday with you. You will be stepping into the new day with energy, clarity, and focus. Repeat this practice, and your life will steadily transform one night at a time, one morning at a time, until the identity you want and the life you want are both a reality you are living each day. So here's the truth. No one else is going to live your life for you. No one else can think for you, act for you, or build the habits that shape your future. That responsibility and that power belong only to you. Taking control of yourself is not something you do once. It's something you practice every single day. And every small step you take in the right direction makes you stronger, more confident, and more capable of creating the life you want. If this message spoke to you, don't just stop here. Come back, revisit these lessons, and keep building on them until they become part of who you are. Because the moment you take control of yourself, everything else in your life starts to change. Now the choice is in your hands. Will you let the day control you, or will you take control of yourself?